Yo, what it do, GG Nation, GG Legion, it's your fella again. Straussman the GG. Last of Us Remake. As it says in the title of the video. The game that got over 200 Game of the Year awards. To be honest, when I first heard about this was pretty exciting at first, but then I really thought about it. I really thought about it. The game is only 8 years old, 2013. They're remaking it. And immediately after I thought about it for a little bit, the first things that came into my mind was, but why? And you guys know, I'm all for remakes, man. I really enjoy remakes. I know a lot of you are tired of the remake train. Get it out of here. You're tired of it. You don't want to see Resident Evil 4. You don't want to see, Final Fantasy 7 continue remade. But I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I do, though. I really do want to see a lot of remakes. I want to see Metal Gear Solid 1 remade. I want to see Legend of Dragoon remade. I want to Parasite Eve remade. Mostly older games, not games a couple gens ago. Last of Us Part 1 is, it's crazy to even say that, Part 1, is a very special game for most people. Like, for a lot of people, it is their number one game of all time. It gets a lot of people into video games. But, to my point, I think the reason why they're remaking this is because of Part 2. Because a lot of the backlash of Part 2. Don't get me wrong, this remake could be really good. Because mechanically, they're probably going to change a lot of things. Maybe they're going to have some newer level designs, some newer game mechanics. Naughty Dog has always kind of been behind the ball with game mechanics. But everything else, they've been really great. Like graphics, cinematography, accessibility, everything they've pushed forward and pushed the PS3 and PS4 like to the fullest, with all the games they made. But gameplay wise, they've always kind of been. This is why I always hear from people that it's always kind of never been that great, and I can see where you're coming from. But for me, for a lot of their games, it fit, and I had no issue with their gameplay and mechanics. But if you really think about it, yeah, they've kind of been behind the ball in that department, so to speak. I mean, it's such an interesting and tough dilemma here because despite what you want to say about Last of Us Part 2, it did have its fan base, but not much. A lot of people, it was a very divisive game. A game that pretty much swept the Game of Year awards, which a lot of people were calling, rigged and phony. And which I was too. Definitely, the gaming media really protected Last of Us Part 2 because it was a very divisive game. I personally, we did a shout out to the boys. We were talking about this in the party, but I did a 2-hour spoiler cast with my cousin JJ about Last of Us Part 2. But I wasn't the biggest fan of the game. I think everything, like the graphics, the gameplay, the camera angles, the cinematography, it was really fun. But when it came to the story, which I value the most, I thought the story was highly overrated and not very good in Last of Us Part 2. Part 1, I played Part 1 again right before Last of Us Part 2, and I see why this game is still a really special game with Joel and Ellie's relationship. That is such amazing. Two very broken people that find each other in this really shitty world and become close, become father and daughter, and then maybe, a lot of people had a lot of problem with Joel's actions at the end of the hospital. I personally did not. I think it's great for discussion and stuff like that, but I don't know if it should be put in a light of subjective of good versus evil, because I'm not really good versus evil in this world. But Last of Us Part 2, I think this Last of Us remake is going to incorporate maybe some Abby. They're going to probably rework the ending of Last of Us Part 1 to probably paint Joel a more malicious light. I hope not. That's just these are the things that immediately are coming to mind, is that they're just gonna make Joel look like a piece of crap, and that they're gonna change a lot of part one, what made part one special. The relationship between Ellie and Joel, but they're gonna probably incorporate Abby, which I thought Abby wasn't a very good character personally. Nothing to do with Laura Bailey's voice acting, but the writing and how they purposely set that character up for failure was very odd to me. I was like, I get it, but she definitely didn't deserve all the hate she got online in the Twitter world, and obviously, but Twitter. I don't really care about Twitter, but these like they're gonna change this with remakes. Is this gonna be shot for shot, or is it gonna be like Resident Evil 2 remake, Final Fantasy 7 remake, where they change up quite a bit and make, even for a lot of people, the game a lot better? I thought RE2 remake was absolutely masterful. Final Fantasy 7 remake I thought was very, very good, but we're getting like 2 or 3 more parts of that game, so I'm assuming the second, maybe third part are going to be the best. I'm going to say second. If there's only 3 parts, I'm going to say the second part of Final Fantasy 7 remake. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but it's just thoughts that were in my head, because I want to know what you guys and gals really think. Part of the GG Nation, the GG Legion, what do you guys think? Last of Us Part 1 remake. Again, immediately what sprung to my head was that they're just going to make Joel look bad, and they're going to change a lot of stuff. Maybe add Abby's father, Owen. They're going to make it connect to Part 2 a lot more than it really did, because it really didn't. Like, pretty much the only reason it's Part 2 is because of Ellie. Obviously what happens with Joel and stuff. And again, everyone chill out. Joel was allowed to die, and I understand that. That was my gripe with the game. The gripe was just how everything happens. How he dies, how the stupidity of just writing him off as a character, the blatant lies with Last of Us Part 2 commercially, like with the commercials and stuff. Like, Sony is not the one to hold back of bragging. I don't think that game sold as well as they liked it to. I mean, they have not said anything about it besides the launch of the game, where it sold tremendously well. Obviously, there's a lot of casual gamers out there. They outweigh us, the hardcore, and they're a big part of our ecosystem. But there's a lot of guys and gals, sorry, that work a regular 9 to 5, and they don't know everything. They're not studying. Like, most of my fan base, you guys are within the hardcore a lot. You guys are searching for games, looking for new content, seeing what to play. The whole point of this channel is to get outside your comfort zone and play different games. We do so many different spoiler casts on here, whether it's a JRPG, Western RPG, action game, third person action game, adventure game. We do so many different games, fighting games on here. We do different spoiler casts on here because we love video games and we love to try different things. But man, Last of Us Part 1, it's something I saw online that on most message boards, I saw that most people were not happy with this. They didn't like the idea of a remake. I don't know if it was Jason Schreier that reported it, that, Days Gone 2 was canceled. But Jason Schreier could be wrong. Like, he could be wrong in a lot of ways, because there's a conflicting report with the former directors of Days Gone that he was working on Days Gone 2 before he left in 2020. So I don't know. Game could have been canned. They could have shelved it to put them, because the rumor was they're passing on Days Gone 2. Sony Worldwide Studios is passing on Days Gone 2, having them help with Sony Ben helped with Last of Us Part 1, which Naughty Dog is doing remake. So I'm guessing Neil's part of that. I don't know. I was assuming Naughty Dog will have a new IP. This just seems really strange to me. We talked about Kojima betraying Sony in the last video, but I don't think it's. There's been so many rumors saying that Microsoft's going to try to buy the IP of Metal Gear from Konami, but quite a few months ago we saw that with Sony, that Sony was going to get the rights for Metal Gear, Castlevania, and what am I missing? Metal Gear, Castlevania, Silent Hill, right? So I don't know. It's rumors. Always take it with a grain of salt, but I just find this one very interesting and compelling. Like, they're really gonna remake Last of Us Part 1. A game that I don't really think it needs to. I think game mechanic wise, that'd be cool if they upgrade it. It's probably not going to be a shot for shot remake. They're probably going to incorporate some stuff with Part 2 to make Part 2 look a lot better, or Abby look a lot better from Part 2. I don't know. I don't like the idea of it. Tell me what you guys and gals think in the comments down below. I've been your fellow Straussman of the GG. Make sure you smash the hell out of the like button. Comment down below. And definitely sub if you're new. But I'm outie.